How to play the F minor chord. The F minor chord is usually referred to in chord charts, tablature and guitar music as simply F with a small m, the M obviously standing for minor. So let's try playing an F minor. Firstly, place the first finger across 3 strings, the G string, the B string and the top E string. Then press the third finger on the 3rd fret of the D string. Now strum. You'll notice in the chord chart that the bottom E string and the A string both have an X on them. This X means you don't play either of those 2 strings, so when you strum from the D string onwards. Let's see the F minor being played on a guitar. Firstly, press the first finger on the G, B and E string. You lie it down on its side to cover all 3 strings. Then place the 3rd finger in the 3rd fret of the D string and now strum. If your F minor chord isn't quite sounding correct, let's see if we can find the problem. First thing you need to do is double check your tuning. It's important that your guitar is in tune at all times. So take all the fingers off the frets and play each string one by one. If any of the strings sound particularly bad, I would tune them now. Otherwise, if you're not sure, pause the video here and check your guitar with a tuner. Now let's reapply the fingers. Place the first finger across the G, B and top E string, and then place the 3rd finger in the 3rd fret of the D string, and now strum. If your F minor chord still isn't sounding right, you might need to look at your fingers carefully and readjust them. Check they're not overlapping any of the frets or overlapping onto the wrong strings, or check the fingers are being pressed correctly. You might have to press relatively hard as you're covering 3 strings. If you're having difficulty locating where the problem is, try playing each string of the chord one by one. You can do this and identify which strings aren't sounding correct and then adjust them accordingly. Then try re-picking the strings one by one again until you get it right. The F minor is a difficult chord, so if you don't get it straight away, don't panic. It's not the end of the world, you will get it. Sometimes your fingers have to build up strength and just harden up a little before you can get a difficult chord like this one. You may have to play around with the position of the first finger for a while before you find the perfect position for you. Sometimes it's a good idea to lie the finger slightly on its side. Some people find this far easier and get a better tone out of it. A common mistake I come across when people are learning the F minor chord is that they curl the finger or bend it. If possible, you want to keep the first finger as straight as possible. This might mean you need to move your thumb around the neck of the guitar towards the floor. If the thumb is too far around the back of the guitar, then it's impossible to keep the first finger straight, so you need to bring it down towards the floor. Another thing that sometimes helps is to go over too many strings. So rather than barring just the 3 strings, you take it across 4 strings, 5 strings, or even 6 strings. If you do bar more than the necessary 3 strings, don't strum extra strings. Continue to miss the E string and the A string and just strum the top 4 strings. If you're having real difficulties getting this chord, stick with it, it is worth the effort. The F minor chord is actually what's called a half bar chord. This means you're not playing any open strings when you play it. Because of this, you can move the F minor chord up the neck. Each different fret you play it in makes it a different chord. So for example, if you play the F minor chord in the 3rd fret, it becomes G minor. And if you play it in the 5th fret, it becomes A minor. So you see, when you learn the F minor chord, you're actually learning multiple chords at the same time. Let's look at that in more detail. Here we have a map of the names of the notes on the top E string and the bottom E string. You'll notice that the F is in the 1st fret. Now, because we play the F minor in the 1st fret, this is what gives it its name. If we are to move the F minor up by 2 frets, so the 1st finger is resting in the 3rd string, the chord now becomes G minor. Now again, if we were to move your F minor up to the 5th fret, that is with the 1st finger resting in the 5th fret, it becomes A minor. Now the notes in between are a little more confusing. If you were to play the F minor shape in the 2nd fret, that is with the bar, the 1st finger on the 2nd fret, it would be both F sharp minor and G flat minor. Also, if you were to play the F minor shape with the bar or the 1st finger in the 4th fret, then the name for this would be both G sharp minor and A flat minor. If you'd like to learn the reason why the 2nd and the 4th fret both have 2 names, then I've left a link below to Understanding Sharps and Flats, and this will explain it in more detail. If during this lesson, whilst you've been playing your F minor chord, you've found you've barred all 6 strings with the 1st finger and you're comfortable with that, it might be worth you going all the way and actually using the 1st position or E string rooted bar chord. Here's how to play that. Firstly, place the 1st finger across all the strings, keeping it as straight as possible so that it doesn't overlap the frets. Then place the 3rd finger in the 3rd fret of the A string. Finally, place the 4th finger or the little finger in the 3rd fret of the D string. Now strum all the strings. Now, if this version of the chord is working and sounds alright, and you're reasonably comfortable playing it, it would be worth you moving on and learning all the 1st position bar chords, cause these really do open up the neck to you. I've put the link down below so you can go straight to that lesson if you want to try it. In the end, however, it doesn't matter which technique you use to get your F minor, as long as you manage it eventually, and enjoy playing the guitar whilst you're doing it.